What's going on YouTube? Got another knife review here for you. Today we're going to be looking at the Brad Southard Avo. The Southard Avo was a knife that came out sometime last year, 2014, and really hit the knife scene by storm. And obviously this one is a slightly more special Avo in that it's the Monkey Edge Frag Pattern version that has only, I think only about 7 or so or 8 that have been released out in the public. And I was fortunate enough to be able to get this in a trade, and I'm really happy with it. Obviously I also anodized this knife a bronze and blue, so I really like the checkering pattern of the blue contrasting with that bronze. Also anodized the Hinder lock bar stabilizer, a nice shiny blue right there. And then for the back spacers, which are also titanium, I anodized them blue and then Scotch-Brighted the outsides, and then matching the bronze with the rest of the knife. So that's kind of a little project, but this was Brad's I guess answer. You know, it's kind of his first mid-tech. He offered this one, or he released this one, Spyderco released it actually, a long while back, and this, you know, this knife kind of, again, same thing, took the knife scene by storm, I think, in my personal opinion. I thought it was an amazing blade, titanium frame lock, Spyderco's first flipper, in which they nailed. It's a Taiwanese factory Spyderco, titanium liner with brown G10 slabs, you know, and with CTS 204P steel, which you can't beat, right? It's M390 for the most part, but it was a production blade, and I won't say like not without its faults. I mean, it was awesome. It was a great knife, and people customized it all the time, and it was just an all-around great EDC knife for people. But after, you know, after all these custom makers started doing their mid-techs, you know, whether it was Graham and his what's it called, Razel SS3, or whether it was Mosier and Sean Kendrick's Burning Horizon, whether it was Birch's V1 and V2 and now V3, Jake Hoback had his Quayback, you know, like everybody and their mom was doing mid-techs, and so Brad ended up, you know, doing his mid-tech, or what he calls the performance series of the Avo. And, you know, when you look at all these knives here, to me they seem somewhat tactical or heavy duty. I mean, the Quayback and the Birch are tanks in my opinion. You know, you got really thick pieces of steel. The Quayback's probably the thickest of them all, but the Birch is, you know, just really dense in hand and feels really good. I would say that the Burning Horizon was probably the biggest surprise in terms of it not being as big as I thought it would be. And so, you know, it really fits the hand. It kind of makes sense as an EDC blade. The Graham also, just as a overall kind of work knife, the profile of the you know, the Razel blade is just awesome. This is a great representation of a custom Graham that you might get. But Brad Southard's knife, as pretty much all Southards are, there's just something about it where it's kind of like simplistic beauty. You know, it's just, everything about it just screams EDC. You know, it is such a small profile in the pocket when you compare it to all these other knives. You don't have a lot of blade that's sitting out from the frame, you know, as some of these knives do. You know, even as the Birch, you know, a lot of blade is sitting out here. Obviously the Quaken is the best in terms of the entire blade sitting inside the frame, but it's a honking, you know, it's a honking chunk of metal, you know, when you compare it next to each other. You know, that is a big that's a big handle that's sitting in your pocket. So I love this knife, absolutely, but you know, again, when you're comparing to, you know, the feel of this knife, it's so thin in pocket, and you know, for me, I went through this huge phase, and I would say like I'm still in that phase where I appreciate it. I still love just like these monster overbuilt knives, whether it's Dalibor or Direware and whatnot. But after getting the Avo, as well as a couple, you know, smaller knives recently, say like my CQC5 here, I'm really appreciating, you know, the feel of small knives in the pocket. You know, it doesn't take up all this real estate. It's not obtrusive. It's not heavy. If you're kind of just running, not just running in running shorts, but even when you're walking, you know, you don't have this big chunk of metal that's like swinging in your pockets. It kind of just hugs the pocket and is there when you need it. And so I've really been learning to appreciate that size knife. So the Avo, I think, really served as a great representation of Southard's work. Obviously, it's still not going to be as intricate. You're not going to have a milled clip, even though you can get like a steel flame clip and whatnot. But you know, I think for me, one of the coolest things and aesthetics about Brad's knives are that special milled clip, that skinny little milled clip that just fits the knife perfectly. You know, it just accents the knife so well. Again, you get a little bit ornation, you know, with the frag pattern on this knife, so it's not going to be exactly the same feel as the Avo, or as the original Avo. This particular Avo, you know, like I said, it's got the hinder lock bar stabilizer, is running on bearings, it's got a ceramic detent on that lock bar, and it flips wonderfully. I'll be honest, there's a little bit of vertical play that you can muscle in there. If you push that lock bar in a little bit, then it doesn't move at all. So I might have Brad check it out. I might try to tighten it, but I mean, you can see the lockup is so early on this thing. It's probably at like 10% or less. So it's not going to fail at all. No side to side whatsoever. Action is pretty good. It's better than my Spyderco, but it's not, I'll be honest, it's not as nice as the Tolk that I just got in. I actually just did a review of this, and we'll post it later than my Avo review, just in sequence of the knives that I've got. But this knife is just so incredibly smooth right now, and yeah, I love I love this knife as well. But it hasn't been modified to the extent that this one has, so I'm not sure. It shouldn't be, because this knife as well, the bearings run on steel washers inside, so that's also a nice touch that Brad has done on the Avo. So overall, again, as an EDC, I mean, it just conforms to your hand, fits great. I do wish that there was like a working choil. You can kind of bring up your finger a little bit, as this part on the Ricasa is not sharpened, but if you go too far, you're gonna cut the pad of your fingers there. So just be mindful of that. Other than that, I mean, the coolest thing about these mid-techs is you can really make it your own. They provide you with all the materials, and what I'm talking about is like it's all titanium. Other than the screws and the washers or the bearings and the blade, everything is titanium, so it's easy to anodize. You see all the work that I did on all these knives. You know, it's easy to do these little anodizations on the deeper cut areas on the knife, and then you can just polish it out or Scotch-Brite the flats and do different things. And I did it for all these knives right here. You can see on the Quebec or on the Avo, and for the Graham, and even for this knife, I just anodized it gold or bronze, and did the acid wash on the blade and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. Even for the birch, I just anodized the pocket clip and just make the mid-tech knife your own. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do to the Tolk, but that doesn't really matter because the review is on this Avo. Overall, just an awesome knife. I love Brad's work. If I can ever get a Southard custom, that would be a dream. That would be an absolute grail knife, but I don't know if that'll be in this lifetime. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Brad Southard Avo and the Tulk are awesome. So, and the Spyderco Southard, they're all great. So that's a tribute to Brad's work for these CNC machining companies and big production companies like Spyderco. They all nailed it on the head. And it's all just kind of based on the design elements and the specs that Brad's given out to all of them. So anyway, thanks guys for watching. I'll see you guys on the next vid. Take care. Bye.